The silver diplomatic vessel of the United Earth Alliance drifted slowly into the designated meeting area near Valthrian space. Inside the ship, Captain Olivia Mason checked her uniform one last time before addressing her crew. Remember, the Valthrians value strength above all else. Be respectful but never show fear, she said. Sam Collins, the ship's security officer, nodded as he adjusted his standard-issue sidearm. Unlike the other humans around him, Sam was not particularly tall or muscular. He had a lean build, with warm brown eyes and short-cropped hair. What set him apart was the quiet confidence in his movements and the observant way he studied everything around him. "Do they really have blue skin?" asked Penny Wright, the communications specialist. "Blue-gray," corrected Dr. Linda Warren, the xenobiologist, "and they average 7 feet tall with significantly higher muscle density than humans. Their homeworld has nearly twice Earth's gravity." The human delegation prepared for the first official meeting between their species. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 30 years ago, and many older species still viewed them with suspicion or dismissal. Across the void, aboard the Valthrian vessel Korthax, Commander Zanara inspected her honor guard. Her blue-gray skin was marked with the ceremonial scarifications that showed her rank and battle accomplishments. Standing nearly 7.5 feet tall, she towered over most of her own kind. "These humans request diplomatic relations as if they were equals," she said, her voice deep and resonant. "They have not earned such respect." Ambassador Dren, a older Valthrian with elaborate facial markings, adjusted his ceremonial armor. "The High Council believes they may have valuable resources and technologies. We will evaluate their worth." Zanara flared her nostril slits in the Valthrian expression of doubt. "I have studied their physiology, Ambassador. They are soft creatures from a low-gravity world. What could they possibly offer the Valthrian Dominion?" "That is what we are here to determine," Dren replied. "Now prepare the honor guard. The humans will arrive shortly." The meeting hall on the neutral station was designed to accommodate many species. The Valthrians arrived first, forming a perfect line with Zanara at its head. She stood motionless, her ceremonial battle staff planted firmly beside her. When the humans entered, Zanara had to control her reaction. They were even smaller than she had expected. The tallest barely reached her shoulder. Their skin was various shades of tan and brown, rather than the proper blue-gray of an evolved species. They looked soft, with no protective ridges or natural armor. Captain Mason approached and performed the traditional Valthrian greeting with reasonable accuracy. "On behalf of the United Earth Alliance, we extend greetings to the Valthrian Dominion." Ambassador Dren responded with minimal courtesy. As the diplomats moved to the central table, Zanara remained standing with her guard, her eyes fixed on the human security officer, Sam Collins, who had positioned himself at a tactical vantage point. She noted with professional interest how his eyes constantly scanned the room, assessing threats and exits. Perhaps he had some rudimentary combat training. Still, his slender arms could never wield a proper battle staff. His chest lacked the expanded lung capacity of a true warrior. His legs seemed barely strong enough to support even his light frame. When Sam's gaze met hers, Zanara did not look away. She stared down at him, expecting him to avert his eyes as any lesser being should before a Valthrian commander. Instead, he held her gaze calmly, without challenge but also without submission. This surprised her. Perhaps these humans were not completely without courage, though courage alone meant nothing without the strength to back it up. As the diplomatic discussions began, Zanara listened carefully. These humans spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense as if they could possibly offer anything of value to the Valthrians. Their presumption amused her. Before this meeting was over, she decided, these humans would learn their proper place in the galactic hierarchy. And that security officer with the steady gaze would make an excellent example for his kind. The diplomatic talks continued for 3 hours. Captain Mason presented data on Earth's resources, technological innovations, and cultural achievements. Ambassador Dren listened with minimal interest, occasionally asking questions that seemed designed to highlight human weaknesses rather than explore opportunities. Zanara remained standing with the honor guard, but her attention never left Sam. Collins, the human security officer, maintained his position by the wall, alert but relaxed. His calm demeanor began to irritate her. Did he not understand he was in the presence of superior warriors? As the meeting progressed, Ambassador Dren's tone grew more dismissive. Your species has only recently achieved space travel. The Valthrian Dominion had colonized 12 planets before your ancestors discovered fire. Captain Mason kept her diplomatic smile. True, but sometimes fresh perspectives lead to innovative solutions. We believe an alliance would benefit both our peoples. Dren made the Valthrian gesture of skepticism. What could your kind possibly offer that would benefit the Dominion? Your physical capabilities are limited. The tension in the room thickened. Dr. Warren whispered something to Captain Mason, who nodded slightly. Physical strength is just one measure of capability, Ambassador. Mason replied. Humans have other attributes that have served us well. Zanara could no longer contain herself. She stepped forward, breaking protocol. The captain speaks of attributes yet hides behind diplomacy. If humans wish to be considered equals, they should prove their worth through action, not words. Ambassador. Dren shot Zanara a warning look but did not correct her. Captain Mason's expression remained neutral. Commander, what action would you consider appropriate? Zanara's lip ridges curled into what humans might interpret as a smile. The Krathval, the challenge of combat. It is our oldest tradition for establishing respect between warriors. The human delegation exchanged glances. Sam Collins stepped forward. I would be willing to accept such a challenge, he said. Captain Mason turned sharply. Officer Collins, that's not necessary. Zanara laughed, the sound like stones grinding together. You would face me in Krathval, little human. I have won 63 combat challenges and killed 17 challengers. Sam's expression didn't change. Then I would be honored to be your 64th victory or your 18th kill. His voice was steady, without bravado or fear. Ambassador Dren raised his hand. This is unexpected but not unwelcome. The Krathval would indeed establish a baseline of respect between our peoples. He turned to Captain Mason. Would you permit your warrior to engage in this ritual? Mason looked at Sam with concern. This isn't part of our diplomatic approach. With respect, Captain, Sam replied quietly. I believe it's become part of it now. After a moment of tense silence, Mason nodded. What are the terms of this challenge? Zanara stepped forward. Traditional Krathval. Combat continues until surrender, incapacitation, or death. The participant may choose basic protective gear and one non-projectile weapon. And when would this take place? Mason asked. Immediately, Zanara replied, unless the human requires time to find his courage. Sam met Zanara's eyes. Valthrian custom allows for 3 days of preparation before Krathval. I claim that right. Zanara's eye ridges rose in surprise. This human knew of their customs. 3 days then, she agreed, though it will change nothing except to delay your defeat. Ambassador Dren seemed pleased with this turn of events. We shall reconvene in 3 days for the Krathval. The outcome will guide our future diplomatic relations. As the meeting adjourned, Zanara approached Sam directly. Standing before him, she towered nearly 2 feet over his head. Up close, she could smell the strange scent of his species, like water and minerals. Why did you accept my challenge, human? You must know you cannot win. Sam looked up at her without flinching. Because sometimes the value of a challenge isn't in winning. It's in what both sides learn from it. Zanara snorted. A philosophy for those who expect defeat. Maybe, Sam replied. Or for those who understand that not everything is as it first appears. As Zanara turned to leave, she felt an unfamiliar sensation, a small seed of doubt. She dismissed it quickly. In 3 days, this presumptuous human would learn the true meaning of Valthrian strength. Back on the Earth vessel, Captain Mason was not happy. What were you thinking, Sam? Accepting a challenge from a Valthrian warrior? She paced the small meeting room where the human team had gathered. Sam sat calmly at the table. She was looking for a way to dismiss us. If I had refused, it would have confirmed everything she believes about humans. Dr. Linda Warren pulled up data on her tablet. The Valthrians evolved on a high-gravity world with intense competition for resources. Their society is built around physical prowess, which means Sam is at a severe disadvantage, Mason pointed out. Their muscle density is 3 times ours. Sam nodded. I know, but we have advantages they don't expect. Linda looked up from her. Research. Actually, he might be right. Valthrians have powerful muscles and can move with incredible speed, but only in short bursts. Their metabolism burns energy quickly, like a sprinter versus a marathon runner, Sam added. Penny Wright frowned. But you're not a marathon runner, Sam. No, he admitted. But I was a wilderness guide before joining Earth Alliance. I spent 5 years leading expeditions in the Colorado mountains. I know how to pace myself. Captain Mason sat down. So what's your plan? I need to learn everything about Valthrian combat techniques, Sam replied. Linda, can you help with that? The xenobiologist nodded. Their combat records are part of the cultural exchange data. I'll compile everything. And I need to train, Sam continued, not to match their strength but to outlast it. For the next 3 days, Sam barely slept. He studied recordings of Valthrian combat, noted their traditional moves, and worked with Linda to identify weaknesses in their fighting style. In the ship's gym, he focused on endurance exercises and flexibility rather than strength training. He practiced techniques to absorb impacts and minimize damage. He worked on his breathing, his balance, his ability to take a hit and keep fighting. The night before the challenge, Captain Mason found him meditating in the observation deck. The ambassador has offered to withdraw from this challenge, she said. We could find a diplomatic excuse. Sam opened his eyes. Do you want me to back out? Mason sighed. I want you alive, Officer Collins. But I also understand why you accepted. She sat beside him. The Valthrians respect resolve even more than victory. I don't plan to lose, Sam said simply. On the Valthrian vessel, Zanara had spent little time preparing. Why would she need to? The outcome was certain. Still, she studied the human's personnel file out of professional thoroughness. Samuel Collins, age 34. Previous occupation, wilderness guide, military service, 4 years, combat experience, minimal. Nothing in his record suggested he could pose any challenge to her. Yet his confidence bothered her. Was it merely human ignorance? Or did he know something she did not? Ambassador Dren entered her quarters without announcing himself, as was his right. The human delegation has confirmed the Krathval will proceed, he said. You have brought honor to our mission by establishing dominance early. Zanara bowed her head slightly. The human will be defeated quickly. Then perhaps they will negotiate from an appropriate position of humility. Do not underestimate them entirely, Dren cautioned. They have survived and expanded despite their physical limitations. There must be some reason. Zanara flared her nostril slits in dismissal. Luck and technology, nothing more. Perhaps, Dren said. But remember, Commander, a warrior who assumes victory has already taken the first step toward defeat. After Dren left, Zanara went to the ship's combat arena to practice. She moved through the familiar forms of Valthrian combat with fluid grace, her powerful muscles driving her 7-foot frame through the air with precision and force. Yet as she trained, the ambassador's words echoed in her mind. She had never lost a challenge, never even come close. But tomorrow would be different. Not because she might lose, but because she was facing a species she had never fought before. For the first time in many years, Zanara felt the thrill of uncertainty. Not enough to worry her, but enough to sharpen her senses and focus her mind. Tomorrow she would show everyone what happened when a human faced a true Valthrian warrior. The day of the Krathval arrived. The combat arena on the neutral station had been prepared according to Valthrian traditions. The circular space measured 50 feet across, with a hard stone floor and walls of clear reinforced material so spectators could watch safely. Word had spread quickly about the unusual challenge. Representatives from both ships filled the viewing area. The humans looked worried. The Valthrians seemed eager for entertainment. Zanara arrived first, wearing the traditional light armor of her rank. It covered her chest and legs but left her blue-gray arms bare to show her muscle definition and battle scars. She carried her ceremonial staff, a 6-foot metal pole with weighted ends, capable of delivering crushing blows. She stood in the center of the arena, towering and confident. When Sam entered from the opposite side, her eyes narrowed. The human wore simple clothing, lightweight pants and a fitted shirt that allowed easy movement. No armor. He carried no weapon. His only protection appeared to be thin padding on his forearms and lower legs. Zanara spoke loudly enough for all to hear. "You face me without armor or weapon? Is this surrender before we begin?" Sam smiled slightly. "I'm dressed for endurance, and I've chosen my weapon." He held up his hands. "These will do." Laughter rumbled from the Valthrian spectators. "Ambassador." Dren stepped forward as ritual demanded. "This Krathval will determine the honor standing between our peoples. There are 3 outcomes: surrender, incapacitation, or death. Do both warriors accept these terms?" "I accept," Zanara declared. "I accept," Sam echoed. Dren raised his hand, then dropped it sharply. "Begin!" Zanara didn't hesitate. She lunged forward with stunning speed, her staff whirling in a complex pattern meant to overwhelm her opponent. It was a technique that had broken the guard of countless warriors. But Sam wasn't where she expected. He had sidestepped with surprising quickness, not trying to block but simply not being where her strike landed. She pivoted instantly, redirecting her attack. This time the staff grazed his shoulder as he ducked away. She pressed forward, using her superior reach to force him toward the wall. Sam moved continuously, never attempting to block her powerful strikes directly. When he couldn't completely avoid a blow, he redirected its force, letting it slide past him. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Zanara had landed several hits, but none with her full power. The human was bleeding from a cut on his cheek where her staff had caught him, but he showed no signs of fatigue or fear. "You can't win by simply avoiding me," Zanara growled, spinning her staff in another attack sequence. Sam ducked under the swing. "I don't need to defeat your staff," he replied calmly. "Just you." His words confused her for a moment, long enough for him to dart inside her guard and strike 3 rapid blows to her midsection. They lacked the power to seriously hurt her, but the precision surprised her. He danced away before she could grab him. Zanara felt the first stirrings of real effort. This was taking longer than expected. The human moved with surprising efficiency, wasting no energy. His breathing remained steady. She launched a series of powerful attacks, driving him back. One solid hit caught his ribs, and she heard the impact. He winced but rolled with the force, minimizing the damage. 20 minutes into the combat, Zanara realized something unexpected. She was breathing harder than he was. "Your delaying tactics only postpone the inevitable," she said, masking her surprise with aggression. Sam nodded as he circled cautiously. "Maybe, but humans are good at doing the impossible." He darted in again, landing a quick strike to her knee, joint before retreating. It stung more than it should have. For the first time, Zanara wondered if this combat might not be the quick victory she had anticipated, and that thought bothered her more than she wanted to admit. 45 minutes into the combat, the mood in the arena had changed. The Valthrian spectators no longer laughed or called out. They watched in silent confusion. The humans leaned forward, hope beginning to replace worry on their faces. Zanara felt a burning in her muscles that she rarely experienced. Her attacks remained powerful but came less frequently now. Sweat covered her blue-gray skin. Sam moved with the same measured pace as when they began. His breathing was deeper, but controlled. Blood from small cuts marked his face and arms, and bruises were forming where her staff had connected, but he showed no sign of slowing. "You cannot win this through endurance alone," Zanara said between strikes. I am a Valthrian commander. Sam nodded respectfully as he sidestepped another blow. Your strength is impressive, but humans evolved differently than Valthrians. He darted in, landed 3 quick strikes to her side, then moved away before she could counter. The pattern was becoming familiar. He never stayed in range of her superior strength. Our ancestors were persistence hunters, Sam continued, circling again. We chased prey until they collapsed from exhaustion. Not the strongest predators, but the most patient. Zanara lunged forward, her staff whistling through the air. Sam twisted away, the blow missing by inches. She stumbled slightly, her balance affected by growing fatigue. Do all humans talk during combat? She growled, frustrated by his evasiveness. Sam smiled. Only when we have something worth saying. For the first time, he changed his pattern. Instead of retreating, he stepped directly toward her inside the arc of her staff. His fist connected solidly with her midsection, driving air from her lungs. Before she could grab him, he was gone again, maintaining the distance between them. The hit hurt more than it should have. Zanara realized he had been studying her movements, identifying weak points in her natural armor. An hour into the combat, whispers spread among the Valthrian spectators. This was unprecedented. No Krathval between Valthrians ever lasted more than 20 minutes. The human should have fallen long ago. Zanara felt something she had never experienced in combat before. Uncertainty. Her powerful muscles, evolved for explosive strength, were burning with exhaustion. Her breathing came in ragged gasps. The weight of her staff, once an extension of her arm, now felt heavy and unwieldy. Yet the human continued his measured pace. He was injured, she could see that clearly. His movements were stiffer than before, protecting his bruised ribs, but his eyes remained alert and focused. You are stronger than expected, Zanara admitted between heavy breaths. Not stronger, Sam corrected. Different. He wiped blood from a cut above his eye. Your people evolved for power. Mine evolved for persistence. Zanara gathered her remaining strength and charged forward, swinging her staff in a powerful arc. It was a desperate move, leaving her open if it missed. Sam didn't dodge this time. Instead, he stepped into the attack, taking a glancing blow to his shoulder while grabbing the staff with both hands. With a twist of his body, he pulled Zanara off balance. For the first time in the combat, Zanara fell. The impact against the stone floor stunned her briefly. When she tried to rise, her muscles trembled with exhaustion. Sam stood nearby, staff in hand. He had disarmed her. Impossible, she whispered. The human looked down at her with no triumph in his eyes. Only respect. Not impossible, just unexpected. Zanara tried again to stand. Her legs would not support her weight. Her powerful body, capable of such extraordinary feats, had reached its limit. The revelation hit her with more force than any physical blow. She, Commander Zanara of the Valthrian Elite Guard, was going to lose this combat. Not because the human was stronger, but because he understood something her people had never needed to learn: the power of limits, pacing, and adaptation. Silence filled the arena. Every Valthrian watched in shock as their champion struggled to rise. Zanara pushed against the floor, her powerful arms shaking with effort. She managed to get to her knees, but could go no further. The human stood before her, holding her staff, loosely in one hand. His body showed the marks of combat, bruises darkening on his exposed skin, small cuts leaving trails of red blood. Yet he remained upright, his breathing controlled, his eyes clear. Do you yield? Sam asked quietly. Not for the audience, but for her alone. Rage flashed through Zanara. Yield? To a human? The very thought was unthinkable. In Valthrian culture, a warrior who could not continue fighting would rather die than surrender. Death with honor was preferable to life with the shame of defeat. She looked up at Sam, expecting to see triumph or mockery in his eyes. Instead, she saw only respect and patience. He was giving her time to decide, treating her with dignity even in her moment of weakness. The words caught in her throat. To speak them would end her career, her status, everything she had built over a lifetime of combat excellence. "I cannot yield." Sam nodded as if he understood. Then he did something unexpected. He placed her staff on the ground within her reach. "Do you want?" "Combat continues then," he said simply. A murmur ran through the watching Valthrians. This was not their way. A victorious warrior would never return a weapon to a fallen opponent. With tremendous effort, Zanara grasped her staff and used it to push herself upright. Her legs trembled beneath her, muscles pushed far beyond their limits. She lifted the staff into a defensive position, knowing she had little strength left for attacks. Sam circled slowly, his movements still measured and controlled. His patience was unnerving. Even now he made no move to rush her or take advantage of her weakened state. "Why do you not finish this?" she demanded. "Because this isn't about finishing you," Sam replied. "It's about understanding each other." He moved forward then, not to attack but simply to close the distance between them. Zanara swung her staff weakly. Sam caught it easily and held it still. "In human history," he said, "we learned that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to set strength aside." With gentle pressure, he pushed the staff downward. Zanara lacked the energy to resist. The tip of her weapon touched the floor. "I cannot defeat you," she admitted, the words like acid in her mouth. "But I will not yield." Sam nodded. "Then we have reached understanding. Neither of us yields, but both of us recognize the combat has reached its natural conclusion." He released the staff and stepped back, then turned to Ambassador Dren, who had been watching from the edge of the arena. "By the terms of Krathval," Sam said formally, "I claim the combat complete by mutual recognition." Dren looked confused. "That is, not a traditional outcome." "Perhaps," Sam acknowledged, "but it honors both warriors. No surrender, no death, just respect." For a long moment the ambassador considered. Then he raised his hand. "The Krathval is complete by mutual recognition. Both warriors have shown valor." The announcement sent a wave of confused murmurs through the Valthrian spectators. This was unprecedented, neither victory nor defeat, but something new. Captain Mason stepped forward from the human section. "We accept this outcome and honor both warriors." Zanara stood trembling, supported by her staff, trying to understand what had happened. By all rights, she should be dead or disgraced. Instead, she was being treated as an equal despite her failure. As medical teams entered the arena, Sam turned to her. "You fought with honor and incredible strength, Commander Zanara." She looked at him, this small being who had changed everything she thought she knew about combat, about strength, about honor itself. "You fought differently, human," she managed to say. "I have much to consider." As they were led from the arena, Zanara realized that for the first time in her life, defeat felt strangely like the beginning of something rather than the end. 3 days after the Krathval, Zanara sat alone in her quarters aboard the Valthrian vessel. Her body had mostly recovered thanks to their advanced medical technology, but her mind remained unsettled. She had expected to be stripped of her rank. Instead, Ambassador Dren had simply assigned her to cultural observation duties while he continued negotiations with the humans. No one spoke directly about her failure, but she felt the sideways glances from her fellow warriors. The door chime sounded. "Enter," she said. To her surprise, Captain Olivia Mason stepped into her quarters. The human captain looked small in the large Valthrian room. "Commander Zanara," Mason greeted her with a respectful nod. "I hope I'm not intruding." Zanara stood, towering over the human. "Your presence is unexpected, Captain. I wanted to speak with you personally," Mason said. "Our diplomatic talks are progressing well, but I believe there's more we could learn from each other." Zanara's nostril slits flared. "What could I possibly learn from humans after being defeated by one?" Mason smiled. "That's exactly what I wanted to discuss. In human culture, defeat isn't the end of a warrior's journey. It's often the beginning of their greatest growth." This concept was so foreign that Zanara simply stared at the human captain. In Valthrian society, warriors who lost important combats rarely recovered their status. Sam has asked to meet with you, Mason continued. He believes you both discovered something important during your combat. Why would he want to see me? Zanara asked. He has proven his superiority. That's not how he sees it, Mason replied. In fact, he said something interesting. He said you both revealed different kinds of strength, and that combining those strengths would be more powerful than either alone. Zanara considered this. It went against everything she had been taught about combat and hierarchy, yet she couldn't deny her curiosity. I will meet with him, she decided. Later that day, Zanara entered the neutral station's observation deck. Sam stood looking out at the stars, his injuries still visible but healing. He turned as she approached. Commander Zanara, thank you for coming. She stopped several feet away. Captain Mason said you wished to speak with me. Sam nodded. I wanted to share something with you. In human history, our greatest advances often came after our worst defeats. We call it failing forward, learning from failure to become stronger. Valthrians do not celebrate failure, Zanara said stiffly. Neither do humans, Sam replied. But we recognize its value as a teacher. The warriors who never fail never discover their true limits, or how to move beyond them. He stepped closer, looking up at her tall frame. During our combat, you showed incredible strength and skill. I only prevailed because I understood my limitations better than you understood yours. Zanara felt no mockery in his words, only honest assessment. What is your point, human? My point is that there's an opportunity here, Sam said. You understand power in ways humans don't. We understand endurance and adaptation in ways Valthrians don't. Together, we could create something new. He held out a data tablet. These are training techniques we use to build endurance. I thought you might find them interesting. Zanara hesitated, then took the tablet. And what do you expect in return? Your insights on strength training, Sam said simply. And perhaps your perspective on how our species might work together. The idea was radical. Exchange combat techniques with a human. Yet as she looked at the data, Zanara felt a spark of interest she hadn't expected. Ambassador Dren has assigned me to cultural observation, she said slowly. Perhaps this falls within those duties. Sam smiled. I think it does. And who knows? Maybe the next time we face each other in combat, the outcome will be different. For the first time since the Krathval, Zanara felt something other than shame. It wasn't quite pride, but something new. Curiosity, possibility, the sense of a door opening rather than closing. Perhaps, she agreed. Or perhaps we will both be different. 6 months later, Zanara stood in a large training hall aboard the joint Valthrian human space station, Unity. Before her, 20 Valthrian warriors and 15 human security officers formed mixed pairs, practicing combat techniques that combined both species' strengths. Zanara watched as a human taught a Valthrian how to conserve energy during extended combat. Nearby, a Valthrian demonstrated to a human how to maximize impact force with proper body positioning. I never thought I would see this, said a familiar voice behind her. Zanara turned to find Sam Collins approaching. He wore the uniform of a United Earth Alliance liaison officer now, with new rank markings. Nor did I, she admitted. But here we are. The past 6 months had changed everything. After their combat, the diplomatic talks had taken a new direction. Rather than focusing on which species was superior, both sides began exploring how they might complement each other. Zanara had been at the center of this change. Her report on human combat abilities had shocked the Valthrian High Command. She described not just their physical endurance but their adaptability and willingness to learn from defeat. When the command ordered more information on humans, Zanara volunteered to become the first Valthrian liaison officer. She worked directly with Sam, creating a new training program that combined human endurance with Valthrian power. The joint patrol ships report their first successful mission, Sam told her. The Valthrian human crews performed better than either species alone. Zanara nodded with satisfaction. As expected. Your people spot patterns my people would miss. My people provide strength yours lack. Complementary species, Sam said, just like we talked about that day on the observation deck. Zanara looked around the training hall. Some still resist these changes. Many Valthrians believe we should not share our combat techniques. Some humans feel the same way, Sam acknowledged. Change is never easy. A young Valthrian warrior approached them, bowing respectfully to Zanara. Commander, may I ask a question? Proceed, Zanara said. Is it true that you created these joint techniques after being defeated by a human? The warrior's tone held no mockery, only curiosity. 6 months ago, such a question would have filled Zanara with shame and rage. Now she simply nodded. I challenged a human to combat believing I would easily win. I was wrong. In my defeat, I discovered something more valuable than victory, a new way forward for both our species. The young warrior considered this. To learn from defeat. This is not our traditional way. No, Zanara agreed, but perhaps our traditions can grow just as we do. After the warrior left, Sam smiled at Zanara. That was well said. I merely spoke truth, she replied. My defeat changed me. It opened my eyes to possibilities I had never considered. They walked together to the observation window overlooking the stars. A Valthrian heavy cruiser and 2 human vessels moved in coordinated patrol patterns. The High Council has requested your presence at the next diplomatic summit, Sam said. They want you to share your experiences with the joint training program. Zanara felt a surge of pride, not the old pride, of individual strength, but something new, pride in building something lasting between their peoples. I will tell them that the strongest warrior is not the one who never falls, but the one who learns to rise differently, she said. Sam nodded. From enemies to allies in 6 months, not bad for 2 species who started with a combat challenge. Zanara looked down at her once rival, now her closest ally among humans. I challenged you to prove human weakness. Instead, you showed me a different kind of strength. As they watched their ships move together against the backdrop of stars, Zanara realized how completely she had changed. Her defeat had not been an ending, but a beginning. The first step on a path she could never have imagined. A path that 2 different species now walked together.